This is probably the latest video I've ever recorded, but this is the queen of everything we've ever talked about on this channel. I can't believe we've gotten to this point. This is breaking news. Get ready. And look, again, no harm to the person we're talking about today in this video. No harm at all, but this needs to be studied. This truly needs to be studied. We're going to be talking about a person, or specifically an IFBB pro named Mariana Guayara, I think. Guayara sounds good. Mariana Guayara. So if I was to show you this picture, you would obviously be able to determine that this person, very clearly a female. Obviously a bodybuilder, enlarged muscles, all that, sure, but obviously a female. Again, in these videos, you can see many clips of her, and again, in these clips, you can see her training, you can see her on stage, you can see her doing all sorts of things, and it looks, you know, obviously a very masculinized female, but still, sorry, woman, it's a woman. This is a woman we're talking about. But then I'm going to show you this photo. And would you believe me if I told you that this is exactly the same person? This is the same individual that we just showed you. No, this is not a man. No, she's not photoshopping or using AI to put on a beard. This is her. This is also her. This is her getting ready to go do her things, taking out her supplements, oddly showing us clenbuterol by a company, which is crazy. Marketing for UGL lab goes hard. But she's running. She's running up some stairs. This is her, you guys. This is the athlete we're talking about. Now, you might be thinking, well,
Coach Kolton, this is just a girl who is obviously trying to be trans.
And I would tell you that you're right in most cases. But she says in the comments many times that she is indeed a female and that she's actually not trying to be a male. She corrects a lot of people in saying, is this a male who's trying to transition into a female to compete into the female categories? Because that has been a point of contention within almost everything that she's posted. And you would be wrong to believe so. She is a biological female and she identifies as a female, just to be very clear here. And it's just really conflicting because we go through these posts and it's like, some of these pictures are really confusing. I mean, we're getting pictures where there's a bra and there's pants and there's very like expressive femininity, obviously masculinized femininity, but it's still femininity, at least posing, the way of posing, I guess, the outfits and whatever, right? She's wearing a shiesty here, but still, you know, it looks feminine. But then you have other posts like this one where you could be, I mean, rest assured, you could be very clearly assuming that this is a male and think that you were correct. So let's do what any reasonable video that I always record would do and go back as far as we can into the history of this individual and try to discern what the heck is going on here. Wow, before we continue, I kid you not, we're so close to 60,000 subscribers. It literally would take you one click to get us closer to our goal on this channel. The community here is wonderful. I think you'll love it. Just click subscribe. It's going to help us grow. And we're going to pump those numbers, baby. We're going to get up to 100K soon, but right now, we're going to stop. That's the stretch goal. We realistically just want to hit 60K.
Please! Please!
Help us out right now. About 72% of my audience does not subscribe and they continue to watch all of my videos. So if that's one of you, click that subscribe button. It helps me out massively. Let's continue talking about this situation. As far back as I can tell, in 2019, she was actively competing and had a ton of muscle mass already, a really well-developed physique at this point in time. Now, fast forward 6 years from this point, then clearly there's going to be more muscular development and a lot more kind of development, but she was heavy into the industry, looking still extremely feminine, but heavily into the industry. She actually got her pro card in early of 2020 in February, and close to my birth date actually, and started to become a pro bodybuilder at this point, really solidifying her roots within the sport. And from there, I think it's obvious the fate was sealed. I mean, she was continuing down this path of steroid abuse, and we've talked about in many videos before how these South American countries tend to have a very, very aggressive stance on pharmacology use, as well as a lot of undereducation in terms of what to use appropriately to stay the healthiest way possible. The reason for this being, in a lot of ways, is I think the information that's spread from the United States isn't so great, as well as the perpetuating information that's spread from the coaches in these countries can tend to oversaturate the market there in bodybuilding compared to the information that's being, you know, talked about in the United States. A lot of the times you can obviously relate to this. Your algorithm doesn't feed you another country's content. Usually another country isn't going to get fed English content either. And so if a coach is talking about what he's doing or protocols or all these things that are definitely not good ideas, usually the people in Colombia, for instance, aren't going to see my videos. They're not going to get recommended my videos. They're never going to hear about me as an individual, but they will hear about said coach who is like the Dark Sonic to my Sonic from, if you know what I mean, from like Sonic the Hedgehog. It's a good reference, okay? And what really sucks here is I can't necessarily go in depth into the past and see, you know, what things were looking like before 2019, before bodybuilding was clearly a large part of her life, if it wasn't already, because that would be extremely interesting to figure out, to see, and to go through the timeline and the change of the physiology in this individual. But let's just explain, I think, one of the most outstanding factors in this video, which is the beard and the development of that, why that would happen. So first of all, why is she letting this happen? You know, as I said, she identifies as a female. Well, she says in a comment here, which is roughly translated, basically, she is biologically a woman, and she says, I've already competed before in my category. I had a beard. I'm bi. Now I just leave it because I like it. So it's not like this is something she can't control. Obviously, women are able to shave their faces if they want to. They're able to get laser hair removal, which most bodybuilders do, at least in female categories. They're getting laser hair removal on their face. In this case, she likes it, so she's keeping it. No harm, no foul. Just want to make that very clear. But as a human, which naturally in a state of, you know, absence of steroids, who wouldn't be having a beard, why is there now such a fine beard? Genuinely, like, better than I could grow. Essentially what's happening here is androgen driven terminal hair development. You're essentially flipping dormant hair follicles into male oriented or male pattern growth and development. Hair follicles are generally androgen sensitive areas. The scalp, yes, you lose hair. It's kind of odd. You have hair follicle miniaturization, which we've covered in a lot of videos before this, but also you grow hair, which is something people don't often account for, on your back, in your armpits, on your face, on your eyebrows, on your back. Did I say that? Because that's like a really big issue, to be honest, especially when you're using heavy compounds. On your chest, on your stomach, like, you grow hair everywhere. You basically don't need it, and you lose it on your head. When androgens, like testosterone, of course, but also nandrolones, dihydrotestosterone derivatives, so on and so forth, the things we always talk about on this channel, which are, just as an individual who might not have viewed those videos, classes of anabolic steroids, synthetic drugs that bodybuilders use to get massive. They're obviously going to impair some functions of normal biology, but as a side effect that people seek, they grow muscle. So it's a kind of a win-lose situation. All of these compounds bind to what is called an androgen receptor within cells. This alters gene expression and changes a lot of different things. Obviously, there's upregulation in IGF-1, mTOR, other different expressions, but there's also way more going on underneath that. It's not just such a clean-cut thing that just you gain muscle and that's it. IGF-1 uniquely, as well as FGF-7, these are both molecular pathways, stimulate hair follicle development. I bet you didn't know that. You take an IGF-1, you're still going to grow some hair. Now, females, don't worry. I know I've recommended IGF-1 before. It's totally fine if you're, you know, not putting it in conjunction with androgens. The development and unfolding of these hair follicles is mainly androgen mediated. But interestingly, I found this like really old book that talks about androgens and human hair growth. It's a very convoluted thing, but in 2008 it was published, and they even showed that like keratin gene transcription is altered from androgen use, which can develop thicker hair shafts. Again, oddly enough, in reverse on the scalp as it is the rest of the body. So on your scalp you get thinner hair shafts, and then on the rest of your body you get thicker hair shafts, which is like, as it sounds, you know, the base of your hair follicle gets thicker. And what happens is essentially women using heavy DHT based compounds, dihydrotestosterone derivatives. These are things like Anavar, like Winstrol, like Masteron and Primobolan, all of compounds which are generally termed as safe within the bodybuilding community, but obviously are going to have off-targeted effects as well, especially when used at very high amplitude of dose. These compounds very uniquely bind to said receptor sites that are going going to cause hair follicle development. Also, the areas in which we're looking at hair development from do have very high 5-alpha reductase activity, which is an enzyme that basically cleaves up testosterone and turns it into dihydrotestosterone, its most potent form. And this is where a lot of the side effects from using steroids and testosterone at a higher dose do tend to come from in both males and females. It's why a lot of male bodybuilders go bald. It's why a lot of female bodybuilders have receding hairlines. And once this follicle that was once dormant has been converted into a terminal follicle, it's not gonna go away. Even if androgen levels drop, the hair follicle will remain. You might see some thinning of certain areas of that facial hair. This is entirely postulation on my end, but for the most part, those follicles are now active and are going to remain active. That is just your new state of milieu. It is how you're going to be from that point forward. And the way that most women deal with this is a side effect of bodybuilding, which I guarantee you they're all dealing with it to some extent. They get laser hair removal therapy. That's the standard practice that almost every gal I've ever talked to has been doing who is using or heavily abusing steroids. In this unique case, we have an individual who says that she likes the beard and is keeping it, and in fact letting it prosper on her face, which obviously, I mean, very clearly is going to make a woman look way more masculine on top of the other masculine features that you get from using steroids, the jawline development, the increased mandible size, the forebrow, I mean, everything we've talked about in other videos.
Sí, lo recomiendo, los resultados son reales, acá me pueden ver, la piel mejoró muchísimo, tanto como para atletas, que ya la exigencia es mucha y la piel se ve muy cansada, como para las personas sedentarias. Soy Mariana, atleta profesional. No olvides, como cuidas tu cuerpo, debes cuidar también tu piel.
And as you heard and can see, it's almost that there's just an embracing of all of the masculinized features that are developing from steroid use over very many years, and likely what is abuse, to be honest. The voice, the face, every feature is basically masculine. There's almost no feminine components to this individual at all, and you would really not know unless you saw the previous pictures that we talked about, or the other stage photos where she's wearing a full bikini and she's on stage with other females. I don't know. This is a bizarre, like absolutely bizarre topic. I mean, she's repping it. She likes it. So be it. I'm not one to judge. It's just really interesting. Like, this is literally the final boss of the masculinization series that we've been having here on females abusing steroids, except it's crazy because there's such an embracing of it and even a showing off of it. It's something I've never seen before in bodybuilding, nor I've just never seen a gal step even willing to step on stage with a beard, embracing the lifestyle, and then openly talking about PED exposure being the thing that's caused her beard to grow, and she just decided to keep it. It's a very new thought experiment for me on what that life is like on the inside, I guess. What do you think? It's really conflicting for me. I've really never seen anything like this before, so I thought I'd talk about it. Hopefully you find it at least somewhat interesting. I will say, you know, from a purely ethical standpoint, I think it's not so great. It's not so great. Let's just be very clear here. We're abusing steroids, developing a physique, and this is why it's not so great. Let me just frame this, okay? There's a ton of female bodybuilders running very large doses of steroids. Some of them claim they're natural, some of them don't. Some of them say they use a lot less than they do, whatever. The point is, this person is competing with the best of the best, but is not the best of the best. There's likely iterations of females that are using more steroids and doing better than this person. What's unique here is that she is not holding back any of the side effects that she's experiencing. Openly letting her beard grow, talking on camera, showing herself in both male and female clothes so that there's almost no ability to differentiate gender. So you can imagine all of the side effects that these women on steroids are concealing from you, the viewer, which is looking at their physiques as an impressive feature of them, as a really motivational factor. But deep down inside, behind closed doors in the bathroom at night, she's shaving her face to conceal the fact that she's grown a beard from all of the steroid abusage. Abusage? Abusage isn't a word, and I don't know why I just said it. It's really late. So remember, if you have somebody talking about steroids like they're this really great thing, especially for females, just understand that this is the other side of that mirror. This is the stuff that most people are trying to hide behind closed doors, but it's happening real time here publicly in front of you. This is what women deal with when they're taking steroids. Full stop. Full stop.